And we're back with Dr. Susan Lark Richards, medical doctor and ordained minister, seeing a healing revival take place in the San Francisco area, and I know it's spreading elsewhere as well. But just to get a little bit more of your background, Susan, what were some of the influences that you had growing up in the medical community as well as in the faith community? You know, when you mentioned healing rooms, I'm thinking John G. Lake. So I don't know if there was any. What were some of the people or the history of healing and faith healing, kind of that informed you and made you what you are today?
I was very interested in a lot of the historical people and movements because they, set the stage for what we're doing now. So I'm very familiar with John G. Lake's work. And we have many of the healing rooms in the Northern California area who are part of our project. They're actually on our prayer team.
Wonderful.
A lot of the people who do the John G. Lake
so
healing
those healing rooms still exist
they still
in the Pacific
exist.
Northwest today.
There's many of them. There's actually several thousand worldwide. And many of them are working with our project that are in California, in our area. Certainly Azusa Street Revival, movements like that where God's loving miracle healing hand, was showing so strongly and creating wonderful healing miracles. So all of those types of things impacted me very dramatically.
Well, Dr. Susan, you say that there's this new model that God is using to bring it all together. Kind of explain that, unpack that for us, because you say that it's really making a difference in the country.
It's huge. The old model is really the medical model, where a patient comes in and you're a sore back, or you're a heart attack, and it's really interesting if you walk down the corridors in a hospital like Stanford. That's what you hear us all saying. We're talking about the bad back or the brain tumor or something like that. It's really disconnected from a person. And it's very intimidating to people when they're sick to be treated that way. It's, you're kind of depersonalized. And what I see God bringing in, and I've seen this very strongly in the ministry that I'm doing, is what He's telling me is the new normal, which is He's bringing in a normal that is the whole person. God wants to see the whole person healed. And He wants, for example, when God heals your physical body, if you go through this kind of healing, I've seen this many times in doing prayer, not only is pain and suffering relieved and the crippled walk and the blind see and the deaf hear, but people feel such a sense of joy and peace and love, and their lives are transformed. And that's what the new normal is supposed to be. It's even different from a lot of prayer ministry. Like, I've done quite a bit of street ministry where someone comes by and again they say they have a bad back, and often in ministry you pray over them, you grow out their leg, and then they move on in 5 minutes. So you've addressed their leg, and that's about, or their back.
Yeah, not the heart or their soul.
No, and what I found is it's crucial to pray that way because it will hold better. I've never seen, for example, someone who is blind go back to being blinded after they see, or a crippled person after they walk, becoming crippled. And what a lot of the pastors of even the larger churches in my area have told me is a lot of the people don't hold. They'll pray over them, they'll get better, and then they kind of go back. So with this new model, there's no place for the enemy, the devil. When you've covered all your bases and you're healing the body, the mind, the soul, you've really healed the whole person. And that person is never going to be the same. They're going to be living the life that God wants them to have. And I did want to make one point, which is, in my experience, God is infinitely loving and gentle and kind. And when people hear something that they think is from God and it's harsh and it's critical and it's judgmental, that is never God. That is the enemy. God is kind and loving. So it should be a kind and loving experience to be healed. It should be a beautiful experience.
Looking at Dr. Susan's healthyliving.com, which is your website, or you go to Amazon, and you've got so many resources and materials, printed books and on all kinds of topics with respect to healing. what will someone find in that resource that you're providing? Is there information as well as inspiration? Is it focused more on the spirit and the soul of the person, or are there, like, some real tangible healthy living tips for staying well, not just getting well?
Well, that's a very interesting thing to bring up. I think people need both. I think because we are spirit and soul, and we have a physical body, we need to nourish all levels. So I think that it's important to give people all kinds of resources. Often I do that, by the way, when I do a prayer healing session. If I see that there's some sort of a tip or healthy tip that I can give a person that is coming from the medical field, either conventional medicine, which is my background, or integrative alternative medicine, where I have a more specialty also, I will give whatever I think is going to help that person remain well and also be part of the process, along with what God does and with what I do in the prayer. In terms of how I think we can benefit people, I do have many books, and we have conferences and clinics that are going through our project, the Medical School of Healing, as well as the school classes, which are just starting to launch. The clinics and the conferences are going very strongly. We're getting many people coming to these. But I think that it's an incredible program for anyone who wants to really be trained and equipped in how to see supernatural miracle healings from God and to see transformed lives. But if you yourself are sick and you have, whatever, lupus or rheumatoid arthritis or cancer or whatever, you're a perfect student for our program also, because not only will you learn how to heal the sick, but you will be healed. We have so many resources for the students going through the program, people coming to the conferences and the clinics. And we are live streaming everything and doing videos as well as classroom. So I think it's an incredible resource. I've been noticing some of the people signing up for the program have mentioned that they have their own challenges.
Yeah, wonderful. I wanted to say thank you for joining us today. Our guest, Dr. Susan Lark Richards. And to connect with Dr. Susan, you can go to drsusanshealthyliving.com, or as always, go to our website, harvest-tv.com. You'll find an easy way to link back to her site as well. Stay with us. We've got a lot more to come on today's program.